Raise your hand if you're married. None of you are married. Raise your hand if you would like to be married to your baby's father. One. The rest of you who don't plan to get married, why don't you plan to get married? I'd like to know that.
You already have your child to think about, and then a whole family to care for. You know, it's a lot of responsibility. And then you don't want the commitments.
I wouldn't want no man holding me down because I think I can make it as a single parent.
But don't you think you might need help in raising that baby from a man?
Not really. I didn't have a father. My father wasn't in the home, so, you know, it really, male figures are not substantially important in the family.
Thinking about holding up for no sex, my man. You know, if a girl, you know, she get having a baby, carrying a baby, hey, that's on her. You know, I'm not gonna stop my pleasures because of another woman.
What about birth control? What about condom?
Girls don't like them things. They don't like them things. They'll tell you to take them things off. They figure that you saying that they filthy or they dirty or something.
It's been a startling change in values. 25 years ago, you would not have heard such things said so freely because they were not embraced so widely. The strong family was still the backbone of Black America, and 3 out of 4 children had both parents at home. That is true no longer. Most black children are now growing up without their fathers. The result is a world turned upside down as children copy what they see and repeat what they learn. LaDawn said she didn't have a father in her home and doesn't think her children need one. She's not unusual. Half the black families today are headed only by a woman. Clorinda said she could make it on her own as a single parent. She has never been married and is raising her daughter without a man's help. She's not unusual. Today, nearly 60% of all black children are born out of wedlock. Timothy said his children are not his responsibility. He has left them to be supported by their mothers and welfare. He's not unusual either. For LaDawn and Clorinda and Timothy, and many more like them in cities all over America, the traditional family no longer exists. It has vanished, and something new is taking its place. Single women and the children they're rearing alone are the fastest growing part of the black population. What becomes of the black family in a world where the values are being turned upside down?
If the parent is 17 and 18, uneducated, unmotivated, fooling around, wandering around, what's the child going to learn? Who's to teach him? When you learn something, you was taught by your parents. It was reinforced by school and your neighbors, but it was taught by your parents. Well, if the parents don't know anything, how are they going to teach the children? So it's not racism that I'm fighting right now. It's the lack of motivation. See, I'm not even talking about racism. Maybe later on we'll get back to that. But I think we are destroying ourselves.
Alessandra Jackson is 23. She's the mother of 2, expecting a 3rd, and is not married. She, too, lives in Newark. Like nearly half of all black children in America, Alice's children are being raised in poverty. They live a subsidized life in subsidized housing. But that's not what Alice wanted or intended. Alice lives in one of the toughest neighborhoods in Newark, in the project where she was born and brought up. But she hoped that one day she would move out of here. She graduated from high school, went to business college for a year, and worked steadily until she became pregnant with her first child.
You know, I was doing so good before I was pregnant. I had a little job. I kept money, you know, stuff. But after I had the child, that's when money started going low.
What was your reaction when you found out you were pregnant the first time? Did you intend to get pregnant?
It wasn't planned. But when I got pregnant, I wanted it. You know, I wanted to be a mother. You know, it was exciting to me. I just thought if I had something of my own, a little child is going to call me mommy. You know, after you have them, it's hard. You know, you got to bomb this, you got to bomb that.
Malik is Alice's firstborn. He is now 3 years old. Soon after he was born, Alice, then 20, quit her job to take care of him. 16 months later, her second child, Antoine, was born. When we met, she was 6 months pregnant with her third child. Timothy McSeed is 26, the father of Alice's 3 children. Though they're not married, they see each other regularly.
When I first met him, I didn't like him. But when he started talking to me, it seemed like he was like a man that wanted to have a home, have children, take care of them.
Did you talk with Timothy about how you were going to support the baby when you were pregnant?
No, that's what we didn't do. No, we didn't even talk about how we was going to support the child.
Timothy McSeed held his last steady job 2.5 years ago. He's been arrested several times on robbery and drug charges. He was brought up in Newark by his mother, who was 16 when Timothy was born. His father has another family in another city. Timothy has a talent for drawing, which he has never developed. He dropped out of high school at 16 and spent 2 years in the Job Corps. He was 23 when he and Alice had their first child. Timothy does not support any of his children. How many children do you have?
6.
He fathered those 6 children by 4 women. He also had 2 more children by 2 other women, but one died in infancy and the other was aborted. Their mothers raised Timothy's children, and welfare pays for them. On the first day of each month at noon, the mothers gather outside the project's mailroom, waiting for the postman to deliver their checks.
Oh, we call it Mother's Day.
Why?
Because us mothers be getting our check that day, getting their welfare check, so we call it Mother's Day.
Alice's welfare check comes to $385 a month. She cashes it at the corner store.
Back in town now.
She gets another $112 in food stamps.
I don't think I would have had the second 2 children if I didn't think welfare was there. I don't like welfare because it makes me lazy.
It does?
Yeah, it makes you lazy just to sit around and wait for a monthly check to come in. You know, I just like to work. I like money to come in every week or every 2 weeks.
Why doesn't Timothy help you take care of those kids?
One thing I do know about Timothy, that if he did have a job,
See you another blue moon.
I know he would take care of me and the children and the bills. But what's holding him back, well, this is what he tells me all the time. He figure I'm going to be with another guy, or I'm going to slip away from him while he at work. That don't make no sense to me.
Don't you get mad sometimes?
I get mad a lot of times about financially support from Timothy.
What do you say to him?
I always said, it ain't that hard to get a job. Go out there and look for a job, because I'm sick and tired of just laying back waiting for a welfare check. I said, this is not how I want to live the rest of my life. This is not the way I plan for my future to be.
Does it make you feel bad that you can't support your kids?
Yes.
How do they make it? Where do they get the money?
Well, majority of them, the mother's on welfare, and welfare gives them the stipend for the month. So what I'm not doing, the government does.
What would happen if the government didn't?
This would be a big disaster, I guess, because you can't give something that you don't have.
You see, people out there watching will say, why didn't he think about that before he brought 6 kids into the world?
Well, mother had a choice. She could have had an abortion, or she could have kept the child. She decided the way that she wanted to have the child, so therefore, I guess it's not sweating her. I mean, it's not bothering.
You think it's her fault if she gets pregnant?
Well,
I mean, you fought her.
Well, maybe not. Like they say, mama, baby, papa, maybe. You know what I mean?
What have you learned about these kids?
That they need somebody to love them. You know, they identify with us because we don't, excuse the expression, we don't take any crap. You know, you come in here, you got to be disciplined, you got to, follow the rules and regulations, because when they go out here and deal with life, they're going to have to follow rules and regulations in life.
Self-control and self-esteem, far more important than a good left hook. That's his message to kids like Bernard Wardwick. He's been coaching Bernard for the past 4 years.
It's like a big brother-father image with me and Bernard. There's been times when he's gotten me mad and I've spanked him, you know, and his mother knows I'll spank him and he knows I'll spank him. And sometimes that's what a kid needs to know. Freedom is a lot of times destruction. The more freedom a man has, a lot of time he'll just self-destruct. So I try to, you know, keep him in a little cage. Keep him in my arms.
Somebody has to say no.
Yeah, somebody has to say, no, you cannot do this.
A lot of these kids grew up with nobody saying no.
Right.
Do you think it's important for them to have men around?
Yeah, I think, you know, if you have a one-parent family and it's a mother, she cannot teach you all of the things that a man can teach a son. There's no way.
So where do they learn the routine techniques of just daily work and living? They don't.
Unless they get it from their parents, they'll get it from the streets.
How do these kids on the streets make it?
He could either be a stick-up man if he stays in the streets. He could be a mugger. He could be a drug dealer. There's so many different things. Like you get a kid who's a good boxer, and a drug dealer may say, hey, you want to make so much money a day? Just make sure nobody stick up my man here.
He becomes a soldier for the drug dealer.
Or a strong arm, you know.
Helping to protect the drug dealer.
Helping to protect him. Because if he can make $100 a day or $60 a day just standing there watching something, and, you know, he does it. That's the battle that you got to deal with. You know, that's the war, to try to convince them that that stuff isn't, in the streets, isn't what's in their best interest.
Does it worry you that Bernard could fall into that?
I think he could go either way, but I think if he does, it'll be something that'll really hurt me, so I don't think I'll let him go. You know, he's like a son to me.
What do you think's ahead for kids like Timothy and Alessandra?
It's going to be rough. It's like hell where they live. And Alice is sweet as hell, but she loves Timothy. I would say if Alice had a husband that was strong, she could do something with her life.
Is a kid like Timothy, what happens to a kid like that down the road?
He's like a guy on a trip without a road map. Timothy's just out there. Timothy doesn't know which way he wants to go, what he wants to do. Timothy is a guy with great talent. As far as art, the kid could draw anything. But Timothy is a ladies' man.
Is that a point of pride with him? Accomplishment?
To him, I would imagine, yeah, it's an accomplishment.
Where does he get any money, Shahid? He doesn't work. He told me he hadn't had a job in 2 years.
Oh, Alice gets her assistance, I imagine.
Welfare?
Yeah, welfare and stuff. And
that happened a lot? The mother gets public assistance and helps the guy on the side?
Oh, I don't know if you would say they help him, but, you know, it's a lot of guys that I know that just goes around looking for welfare mothers. And they may have 6 of them like that and get a little piece of money out of each of them. That's their job. You know, that's their hustle.
What do you think about welfare?
Welfare, to me, some people need it. You know, I'll be for real. Some people really actually need it. And then others take advantage of it.
Sandra Alice told me yesterday that she thinks welfare has made her lazy.
Yeah, because it's there. You know that your food is going to be there every month, because with the welfare finance come food stamps. Then you get Medicaid to cover your medical expenses. Welfare is doing everything. You're married to welfare, a lot of the women's. They're more married to welfare than the guy is laying in the bed next to him, because he's just a physical thing. The whole backbone of the family is coming out of downtown or out of uptown offices.
Government offices?
Yeah.
Does this cycle of dependency, I mean, what does it do to the values of these kids?
Oh, they see it as a game. You know, somebody owes me something. Somebody's going to take care of me. It's not the self-esteem.
What do you think's ahead for kids like Timothy?
Maybe he'll get shot or he'll pick up a gun to protect himself and he'll get shot by a police officer pulling it, or he'll get arrested.
Some of these kids are just losers, aren't they? Sad as it is.
I mean, yeah, you're born into a dead end, you know, and you're in that rut. If you're born into that type of situation, how do you escape? That's the biggest question that I would like to answer, so I can start getting these kids to know it.
Why do they have kids so early? Why do these children have children? this is a dead end. That's a perfect description for it.
Well, when I was growing up, sex was almost a dirty word. Now sex is what's happening. You know, they see sex in TV, sex in movies, sex everywhere. You know, and some girls think it's cute walking down the street pregnant.
Don't you ever get discouraged?
I get discouraged. I lock people up. I get in fights.
Don't you ever want to walk away from it?
Yes, but I feel like so many people has done that. To me, I hate to lose. I hate to lose, and I never would have started working with kids if I didn't, you know, for me to walk away from it and feel like I lost.